study English. Yay!
Today, let's think about how to use indirect questions. So, a direct question is, for example, what's the time? But an indirect question is when we kind of go around indirectly and we ask in a more polite way. Do you know? Is one way of asking an indirect question. There are various ways of asking indirect questions. For example, could you tell me? Do you know? I was wondering. Would you mind? Would it be possible? Is there any chance? And don't forget at the end of the question to still include please. That makes it that little bit more polite. We're kind of asking the person if they have that information. Gives them a chance to say, oh, I don't know. Okay? Why do we use indirect questions? Well, mostly because they're more polite and it kind of shows that we're thinking about the other person's feelings. We show the other person that we realize we're asking for a favor. It's kind of like, sorry, but we still need to ask them for help. So we use them at work, with customers, with the boss, but also with colleagues, with employees, with people below and above us. We also use them at school, with the teachers. The teachers use them with the students and also with the parents. And we often use them with strangers, in shops, in restaurants, cafes, hotels, in business. And surprisingly, we also use them with family and friends. And this is generally when we need help or we need a favor. We need something from that person. We sometimes use them when we want to ask a question calmly and when we don't want to be confrontational, when we don't want to fight with somebody. We want to calmly ask them what happened in a situation. When we use indirect questions, we have to change the order of the words. What is the time? Do you know what the time is? So the word is moves in an indirect question. Another way of asking an indirect question is, could you tell me? Could you tell me what the time is? Make sure you change the time. What is the time? Could you tell me what the time is? So, where is the post office? Could you tell me where the post office is? How can I get to the train station? Could you tell me how I can get to the train station? Okay, it's quiz time. Let's test your knowledge. Who is your teacher? Could you tell me? Could you tell me who your teacher is, please? Where do you work? Could you tell me? Could you tell me where you work, please? Questions with do, take it out when you ask an indirect question. How does this camera work? Could you tell me? Could you tell me how this camera works, please? In questions with does, we take out the does, but put the S at the end of the verb. Work becomes works. Could you tell me how this camera works, please? Could you tell me how does this camera work, please, is incorrect. Could you help me, please? Is there any chance? Is there any chance you could help me, please? Could you help me, please? Would you mind? Would you mind helping me, please? In this case, take out you and could and make help into ing, helping. Would you mind helping me, please? With would you mind questions, we change the verb to the ing form. Is it raining? Could you tell me? Could you tell me if it is raining, please? With yes or no questions, we need to add if after the initial part of the question. Could you tell me if? Do you know if? I was wondering if. Okay, so to summarize, for could you tell me questions, we change the order. Where is the cafe, please? Could you tell me where the cafe is, please? With WH questions with do, for example, where, when, what, why. Where do you work? Could you tell me where you work, please? And we take out the do. With WH questions with does, it's the same, but we need to add S to the verb. Where does he work? Could you tell me where he works, please? With yes-no questions, we still change the order. Is and it. Is it Sunday today becomes, could you tell me if it is Sunday today, please? But we add in the word if. With yes-no questions with do, for example, do you like sushi? We still take out the do, but we put in if. Could you tell me if you like sushi, please? With yes-no questions with does, it's the same as do. For example, does he like sushi? Could you tell me if he likes sushi, please? We take out the does and we add if. But don't forget we need to add the S to the verb. Like becomes likes. Would you mind questions are a little bit different. We need to add ing to the verb. For example, can you help me, please? Would you mind helping me, please? Help becomes helping. Could you open that door, please? Would you mind opening that door, please? Would it be possible? Questions are a little bit more complicated, a bit more difficult. Could you help me, please? Would it be possible for you to help me, please? Or we can also say, would it be possible to ask you to help me, please? These are a little bit more complicated and we'll just leave it at that for these today. Strangers are more likely to help us if we use indirect questions. They're very polite and it's kind of hard to say no when you're asked an indirect question. So, could you tell me how to use indirect questions, please? I hope I have told you today. Thank you so much. Thumbs up for today's show. Subscribe below and see you next time. Bye! Could you tell me the time, please? What's the time?
スーザンと一緒に Let's study English! Yay!